Let's keep things moving here on BOXTOROW. It's always good. We always have great guests, right? But see, this time around, I've got a friend that is a guest on the program as well. As a matter of fact, Kyle Serba. So Kyle was in essence, he was associate athletic director, but in essence, sports information director at North Carolina Central for almost or right at 30 years. And he just got a big gig, as a matter of fact, that he started on Tuesday. And see, look, I got to get the title right. Got to make sure the title is right. Executive Director of Communications at Duke University, the athletics department, the primary contact for men's basketball. Like, that's huge, because when you talk about Duke and men's basketball, you're talking about probably maybe the most supreme in terms of college athletics. Okay, so after 30 years, he's now in that role there at Duke, and he joins us here on Box to Row. What's going on, Kyle?
Donald, it's an honor. Obviously, we go back decades. We're aging ourselves a little bit, but we go back so long as friends and colleagues. And I've set up a bunch of people to come on your show, but I've never been on your show, so this is a big honor for me.
Well, one time, okay, remember, no, so you may remember when I did a live show during the spring game. It was during our spring football tour one year, and
Yes,
whatever I forget who the head coach was at the time. May have been Jerry Mack. I don't
Earl
remember.
Bullock, I think.
Yes, Bullock. And so you came on the show then.
Yeah.
But that was more local. This is actually, we were on in like Raleigh and a couple. This is more serious XM and all that, man.
Yeah, you're a
So
big deal. You're a big deal.
I
Happy to be here, Donald.
appreciate it. So look, Tuesday night, I gotta ask you, different experience for you after 30 years. Your first time as the executive director for communications, men's basketball. How was Tuesday night at Duke University?
It was amazing, spectacular. Of course, you being Cameron with the fans and the crazies, and it's always good to get a win. People were telling me that I was 1-0, so that was positive. But it really goes back to Monday night. Monday was a really difficult day for me, my last day at NCCU, and I had imagined that I would kind of 501 just grab my backpack and the flowers that my family gave me and just walk out the door. But it didn't work that way. I was there pretty typically as an SID till about 9:30 at night, the last one to leave the building, which was kind of appropriate. And then got started, on Duke's campus. I had to make sure I drove to the right campus on Tuesday morning at 7:45, and it was just a long day trying to get settled in, all the HR things that have to take place. But the folks over here at Duke have been amazing, very welcoming and encouraging and supportive, and just it was a spectacular first day here at Duke.
And it's interesting because we've known each other for so long, but I kind of went back and looked at your bio. So I remember that you played ball. You played baseball specifically.
Yeah,
At what it's pronounced. I want to make sure I say it right. It's Utica
Utica, that's right, Utica.
College of Syracuse University. You batted three. You 4 years. You batted 340. That's pretty
No, that was my senior year. I
good.
wish I
Okay.
could say it was 4 years. That was my senior year. I batted 340. No, I still look as a freshman. I was still wet behind the ears, and my teammates will tell you, freshman year was a struggle. I was still figuring it out, but yeah, I had a great experience at Utica College, a proud pioneer. And being a student athlete, I think has actually helped me in my career because working in college athletics, I kind of get what it's like to be a student athlete and have developed some incredible relationships with student athletes over at North Carolina Central and look to do the same here at Duke.
Yeah, no doubt. And then of course, 2 years as the sports information director at the State University of Albany, which is in New York. What and that was 2 years. So then you came to Central in '94. How did you ultimately, or how did you end up at North Carolina Central?
I was trying to get away from the snow and the ice of upstate New York, which, obviously worked out spectacularly for me. I had actually moved to North Carolina without a job. My best friend and I from college, we just packed up and took a road trip during right around spring break of '94, and we drove. For our first stop was in Raleigh, drove through Durham, went to Charlotte, took in a Hornets game. That was when they had Lonzo Mourning, Muggsy Bogues, and LJ. Went down to Atlanta, then Myrtle Beach, and we on our way back up north, we were like, man, we should move down here. And you're young and you don't know any better. We just packed up and moved down. Um, and then we're down here. I just picked up a job on a construction crew, believe it or not, helping build houses in Cary. And I got a call from my mom, and she was like, "Did you apply for a job at North Carolina Central?" I was like, "Yeah, I applied, months ago." And I was still living in New York at the time. And she said, "Well, they just called and asked if you would be interested in coming in for an interview." And Donald, I tell you, I could have moved with my friend anywhere. The fact that we were living at that time in North Raleigh, but 20 minutes away from North Carolina Central's campus, and they called me for an interview, it was just the start of many, many blessings that I've had in my life. And so, yeah, went on the interview, got the job, started August 1st, 1994, a day I'll never forget.
Wow. That is, man, that is awesome. Of course, we're joined by Kyle Serba. He's now the executive director of communications at Duke University, the athletics department, men's basketball main contact as he joins us here on BOXTOROW after 30 years at North Carolina Central. So how did this job at Duke come about for you?
Yeah, I wasn't.
Or opportunity, not job, opportunity.
Definitely. Again, I've been at North Carolina Central for so long. Recently, I've been promoted to Deputy Athletics Director for External Affairs with the transition of ADs from Dr. Ingrid Wicker-McCree to Dr. Skip Perkins. And they gave me that opportunity to have a greater role in the department. Was enjoying that role and wasn't looking to leave. I've had some opportunities to look at some other jobs in the past, but North Carolina Central has taken such good care of me, and I've had so many great relationships there over the years that it was never the right one. Found out about the opportunity over at Duke. I wasn't looking for it. Again, another one of those blessings that just came to me. And I'll be honest, at first, I wasn't sure. I was like, geez, I'm coming up on year 30. I'm at like 29 and a half, and we're in the middle of football season. It just doesn't feel right. And the first person I talked to, quite honestly, was the head football coach, Trey Oliver, because my first year at North Carolina Central was also his first year at North Carolina Central as a freshman on the football team. So I've seen Coach Oliver grow up. I'm really close with his parents. So I talked to him and I said, "Coach, I got this opportunity. I hadn't even gone on an interview yet." I said, "It would mean the world to me to have your blessing before I do this." And he told me, if you don't go after this, I'm going to fire you. So, and then then I talked to Dr. Perkins and a bunch of, a few other people. I didn't want to make it widely known, just the key people that needed to know before I started the interview process. And they were all very supportive. And so that has really made this transition a lot smoother for me, knowing that I have the support of the people, my family over at NCCU. That's meant the world to me, because if I felt any type of hesitation or reservation on their behalf, I don't know whether I would have pursued it. But as I went through the interview process, um, I've built up some relationships here over at Duke just because we're so close to each other, and have a lot of people that I consider friends over here. Built up a lot of quality relationships, and every time I've come over to Duke's campus as an SID over at NCCU, I've felt really welcome, and that was like magnified when I came over here for the interview process. It was a long process, very detailed, thorough, and kudos to Duke for going through that. And the more I went through the process, the more I realized, wow, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity for me and my family. So again, man, I'm telling you, I don't feel I deserve it. I'm humbled, but the blessings just keep coming. And it's, I told them not to do this, but So since the prior Tuesday, when I made an announcement of the fact that I was going to be leaving NCCU on November 20th, that was going to be my last day. Wow, the support has just been overwhelming. It's blown me away, the amount of gratitude and encouragement and love that I've received from my NCCU family. It's been amazing. And my good friend and colleague, Dr. Kendra Green, came up to me in the hallway. Of course, she knew. She helped me through the process and was like, "Can we acknowledge you at the football game that before you go?" I said, "No, I don't want that. Please don't." And so, of course, they, like usual, they don't listen to me because again, another one of my good friends, George Bulldog Smith, he came up to me before the game on Saturday and was like, "Hey, Kyle, I need you to meet someone really important at the end of the first quarter. So I need you to be on the field and come over to this corner to meet someone." And I was like, "Okay." And
Right.
they didn't listen. But it was amazing. Again, they introduced me, and the crowd was so supportive. It was a special moment for me that I'll never forget. I was walking back to the press box, because of course I still got to get up to the press box and work the game. Um, and people were, just saying congratulations. They were stopping me and taking selfies, and I felt like I was a celebrity. It was unbelievable. And of course, Coach Oliver, when I was on the field, he came out, gave me a hug, and he said, because they were reading off a bunch of my accolades throughout the years, and he's like, "You did all that." If you know Coach Oliver, he loves to joke around.
Right.
And he said, "You think you can come out here and make some tackles?" He wasn't real pleased with how the defense was playing at that point in the game. But and then of course the Eagles, in their typical fashion, pulled out a huge victory. A real special team, special group. Love these guys. And Coach Oliver, again, first class, brought me into the locker room after the game, presented me with the game ball. Definitely something I'll cherish. And he's actually up here on the desk here in the office here over here at Duke. I've got a Eagles football helmet signed by Coach Oliver. So it's been amazing, man. It's been an amazing couple of weeks.
Man, that is awesome. Kyle Serba joining us here on the program, four-time CIAA SID of the year 2006, North Carolina Central Hall of Fame, Athletics Hall of Fame inductee as well. Now the executive director of communications at Duke University in the athletic department, men's basketball. I got to say, look, if anybody deserves it, Kyle, you deserve it. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, but now, look, you've been doing this a good long time. You're excellent at what you do. You've done a whole lot for so many, even outside of student athletes. And it is time that you get to do, because at the end of the day, when you talk about in the SID business and you talk about HBC, whether it's HBCU grads, which you are, or whether it's, HBCU folks that go to this kind of level, there have not been many. Okay. So you're doing this, and deservedly so, right down the street from where they've seen you. They've seen you. They know, right? Yeah. So it's you got to feel like it's your time.
Well, first, I appreciate you saying that, Donald, especially since you're one of those elite that have made that jump. And so I think that was another reason why this was such a good opportunity for me. The fact that I could have an opportunity at Duke University, and as you mentioned before, probably arguably the biggest brand in all of sports, definitely in college sports. And I didn't have to move. When I shared the news with our 10-year-old daughter, Samantha, her first question was, "Do we have to move?" And I said, "No, that's the thing. I'm just going to be moving 3 miles away from offices, and I just have to make sure I drive to the right campus." But no, I mean, that's another one of the best parts about it. I'm 3 miles away. When I was saying my goodbyes to NCCU, I was like, look, I'm going to be back. I'm 3 miles away. I'm still going to come back and support the teams. But I'm going to be in the stands and I'm going to be a fan for the first time. When I sat up in the press boxes close to midnight on homecoming, and I was still up in the press box, and I thought, wow, this time next year, I actually get to come back as an alumnus, and I can go to my first ever NCCU football tailgate, and I can hang out in the bowl after the game. I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun to come back and experience NCCU life as a graduate. So I'm not far away. I still have incredible relationships that I've built up in this community with the media here, who have been, again, fantastically supportive. I saw a bunch of them last night, Tuesday night at the basketball game. So yeah, it's kind of the perfect storm. But I'm telling you, I the blessings upon blessings. Every turn I take, it just keeps coming my way.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I know this is sort of maybe a hard question, but like, what are some of your most memorable
Ooh,
moments? I say moments, but maybe there are times. I mean, I don't want to, kind of put it in, but what are some of your most memorable moments at Central?
yeah, it's a tough question because there are so many,
Right.
and I don't want to slight any folks. So I'll try to rattle off a few. Um, I would say probably the biggest one as I look, well, I would say most, I'm going to lump them all into one. And that's anytime one of our student athletes has received a significant accolade, like we have had several that have earned the AFCA All-State Good Works team for football for their efforts in the community. We've had, national players of the year in volleyball on the Division II level. Just anytime we can have athletes earn those significant accolades, and to know that I had something to do with that process as far as nominating them and promoting them, that's special to me. Those are the things that I'll take because those things change their lives. I've had athletes come back and tell me, wow, that was like a big deal for me. And the fact that you helped make that happen, they're forever appreciative. Because I tell them that's why I do what I do. Um, it's for the student athletes to have some type of an impact during one of the most impressionable 4 year segments of their life. Um, to help share their story is really significant to me. When you're talking about moments on the field, I mean, who can forget the huge comeback with the football team at Carter Finley Stadium in the Eagle Aggie Classic? Um, they're down, it was 28-0 in the first quarter, and everybody thought, oh well, here goes another loss in this rivalry, and the team comes back and they score in overtime, and it was just amazing. Um, I mean, there was Casey King scoring 59 points in a tournament game. Just sitting there watching that was pretty spectacular. Of course, what the football team did last year in the Celebration Bowl, unbelievable. I remember in 2013 at the time, it was the 13-14 team, the 10-year anniversary, by the way. It was just last week, was 10 years when this happened, when the men's basketball team under Coach Moten knocked off NC State. That was huge. So many conference championships along the way. Experiencing softball this past year was great. Um, First time a women's sport has won a MEAC championship. And actually, one of my classmates, Kat Tarvin, is the head coach now. She and I graduated North Carolina Central, earned our master's degree together. And she welcomed me into the dugout. And I was in there hanging out with them, doing pictures and social media stuff. And just to experience their positivity and energy is, again, for an old guy like myself, being around these college students, it is pure joy to experience that level of energy. So gosh, there's so many. You and I could talk for another 4 hours, and I could probably come up with more. And I apologize to those that I haven't mentioned. Um, But I will lastly say that I never try to put the emphasis on myself. Um, I try to stay behind the camera rather than in front of it. But a couple of years ago, on my birthday, on September 18th, 2021, three former football players, Malcolm Bell, Carl Jones, and Cleavon Bear Davis, surprised me by endowing a scholarship in my name to benefit mass communication students at North Carolina Central University, working in the athletics department. That was very humbling for me, and never forget those guys for that.
Yeah. And when Kyle says that, he means it. When I wanted to set up this conversation with him, he said, "Well, what will we talk about?" Well, yeah, he wants to be behind and say, "No, yeah, we got a lot to talk about." So very humble as you've always been. Last thought, that what sort of I mean, I know it's only been a couple of days. You had your first game on Tuesday at Duke. Sort of what has, or you think the transition sort of will be like for you?
Well, once I get settled in with getting email and keys and everything else set up, which that always takes a little bit of time. Um, I think the transition is going to be really, I'll say, positive. It's gonna be a transition for sure. There's a lot of things to learn. They operate completely differently over here, not in a negative way. It's just the different way of getting things done. And again, I've been doing it for so long over at NCCU. I can just kind of roll out of bed and get the job done. And I've got a lot to learn over here, but it's exciting. North Carolina Central University has been the only full-time job I've ever had. When I was working at University of Albany, it was a part-time job making $10,000 a year.
Wow.
So that's the only full-time job I've had. And so to start new at somewhere else is like speaking a different language to me. But it's exciting. I've been energized to start something new. And so I'm ready to attack it and get after it. Looking forward to getting on the road with the Blue Devils, heading out to Arkansas for the first time. I've been blessed to have been traveling around in my CIAA days and in the MEAC to all the HBCUs. And now I get to check out some new places, and I'm excited about that. Um, before we go, I do want to make sure that I mention this because I talk about my HBCU colleagues. I take great pride in knowing that when I'm here and I'm traveling around the ACC and around the country representing Duke University, I'm also proud to be a representative of NCCU and all HBCUs, all of my colleagues. So I know that I carry that badge because I take pride in knowing, and I tell all the people that I work with and all the students that volunteer with us, it's like, look, I know there's a lot of focus and attention on the FBS programs, especially the Power Five programs. But what you do here is special because by definition of the NCAA, a significant number of HBCUs are considered low resource institutions. They're funded in the bottom 5% of all of the college athletics programs. And we're regularly asked to do more with less. And we have to do so many different tasks on a daily basis. You just never know what you're going to be asked to do. And if you can do that and be successful on that level, you can take those skill sets anywhere. Anywhere. So no matter where you go, don't downplay the fact that you're coming from, whether it's a Division III or Division II, FCS, whatever that might be, HBCU, wear that with pride. Wear that with pride, and I do. And I'm going to be a proud representative of NCCU and all HBCUs as I travel down.
Man, that is so well said. But so before we go, Kyle, again, man, I mean, I'm here in Raleigh, so we'll see each other, man.
Absolutely.
But look, I mean, even before I was requesting stuff from you as a student at Morgan State before I even got into the business. when I started
Wow.
as the SID at A&T back in '99.
That's awesome.
Obviously, when I was at Shaw for 3 years at Shaw, we matter of fact, we Shaw hosted the South Atlantic region, as you remember. So we worked together there, man. And I really appreciate. And matter of fact, the conversation we had, something felt. Maybe you knew at the time. I don't know if you were in the process, but when we were at Truist Stadium back in September when A&T played Central,
Yeah.
and I don't know, just think, had you already
No,
that hadn't happened?
this just happened within the last month. It
Wow.
happened like very quickly, in like 3 or 4 weeks from the first conversation I had about this opportunity to the time where I've started. It's been a quick process.
Something just seemed different about our convert. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Maybe it was kind of because I've seen you for these years and seen the work that you put in, and I'm like, wow, man, that is to do something that you, as you said, our schools are different. It's tougher. I mean, it just is,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
to have done it for 30 years with excellence, man, with absolute excellence, you deserve this opportunity. I love what you said in terms of wearing that badge everywhere you go as a Central alum, as an HBCU grad, now at the highest level in college athletics. I don't think it can be overstated. I appreciate our friendship. We'll be talking, and we appreciate you joining us here on Box to Row, Kyle. Continued success in all you do, man.
Thank you so much, Donal. I appreciate it. Again, it's an honor to be on the show, and I genuinely value our friendship over the years. And again, I look forward to staying in touch.
Yes, sir.